Rocket League is a game where every single decision you make is absolutely critical. So in today's video, we'll be discussing how you can make the best of every situation you find yourself in. And real quick before we do get started, if any of you are interested in having one of your own replays analyzed, make sure you do check out my Discord, which will be linked down in the description, as I do offer free coaching through there. Ow. That's a faceplant. We've all been there. We've all been here. I think the problem you get yourself in is you're too focused on trying to get over here as fast as possible. And you're just not really focusing on where the ball is bouncing. And you know, this comes with a lot of time as well, but like if I see the ball like this, I already know that is not rolling up the wall by itself. It's going to bounce. And if it's gonna bounce, it's gonna bounce back towards me. So I don't really need to like hit it as soon as humanly possible. I can wait a second. Because, you know, there's more than likely nobody else here since one of them just dove in at this. And again, if I need to be sure of that, I can do camera checks as I'm floating here. Like if I don't know where that other guy is, I'm not really doing anything at this point except floating towards the ball. So if I do like a rear view check or a camera flick to the left, like I have time for that while I'm just kind of floating to try to give myself info on where that other guy is. But if we look around, like I don't think this guy's gonna be anywhere near us. No. He is all the way over there. So you have all the time in the world here. Like you literally could land, grab this boost, let this ball bounce, and then take control after it bounces off the wall. Like you have that much time. And then you would be able to get eyes on what's going on in front of you as the ball is bouncing back. To, you know, be able to make a play. But instead you kind of just want to go fast. And like in fairness, if you get the touch you're looking for, it's gonna be pretty good. But it's a lot more mechanically challenging than just being aware of the situation and taking the really simple play that's available to you of just being patient. It's a good 50. Yeah, this looks like the ball is in your half and you're like, I just want to get it out as fast as humanly possible. Again, just not really considering the situation. And this is a big thing that, you know, just kind of causes problems in the champ rank is see ball, hit ball without any thought as to what we're doing. So you win this 50. Like, this is a great challenge, honestly, going backwards to both protect your net and get this ball into safety. If you had, you know, realized that the other guy was, you know, trying to rotate out and is just sitting right in front of you with probably very little boost since he just dove upfield, you would probably know that nobody can challenge this ball, so there's no reason for us to rush. Because the last thing we want to do is, like, just tap the ball lightly down the field and give control of the ball directly back to our opponents for absolutely nothing. Which is kind of what happens, because you jump without any thought as to, maybe I should, you know, take a bit more time or flick my ball cam off to see where this other guy is to know what play I should make. Instead, you just go on a boat. It's like, okay, ball there, I'm just going to jump. So now you're burning all of your boost, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
To lightly tap the ball off the wall directly to where this guy is picking up boost and is going to have the ball just landing right in front of him. So he is like, oh, sweet, thanks. You just took like what could have been a 1v1 situation for him and passed him the ball. is what's happened here. So awareness is huge. It's a ginormous aspect of the game that is realistically at the lower ranks just not talked about enough because everyone's too focused on staring at the ball because they don't know where it's bouncing, so they have to stare at it to know where it's going. But as you get to the higher ranks, if you can be aware of the other players, you will make significantly better decisions. Because right here, this dude could not be happier. He gets boost on spawn, he has a free ball, and you're forced to back off because you have no boost. So you burn your whole tank, you pass him the ball, your teammate's going to try to apply pressure here. He actually does the smart thing and like doesn't full commit. But now you're in this situation where like you're both just retreating. And you got to try to figure out what they're doing, and it leads directly to a goal. But none of this happens if we don't panic at the ball. If we don't panic right here, we are totally fine. But instead, we take a situation that's advantageous for us and make it advantageous for our opponents. Now, I will say, your teammate makes a fairly solid play here. Because what he does is he goes forward, he forces this touch because of his presence, but he doesn't dive. So he's already on his way back. So what this has caused is it causes your opponent to lose possession of the ball. Realistically, should your opponent be shooting this first time? Yep, probably. But I think he's just focused on getting whatever touch he can to get the clear. And the ball is like really kind of floaty in the midfield. If you recognize this, your teammate has just given you a completely free ball. If you don't flip here and instead just turn into the midfield and jump, you cut this off because this dude's landing. He's not still on this ball. So this ball is free. It's just you're too worried about, the counterattack. You're too worried about thinking, okay, I need to just get back to net to realize that the ball has actually become attackable. And instead you just back off, thinking that, maybe your teammate has a play even though he's kind of underneath the ball. But now when you realize, okay, wait, maybe I have a chance to turn in, your opponent's already landed, he's able to get back up, and now you're just flat out beat. So you have to wait for the shots, which puts you at their mercy of if they want to actually shoot the ball. So just try to be aware of that. Like, really pay attention to when there's an opportunity to attack the ball, and don't be afraid to take it if the opportunity presents itself. Then what exactly happened here?
Meant to be a lot higher of a flick to get it way past them.
Gotcha. So you're just trying to pop it as high as possible.
Yeah, just to make them both waist boost and then easier shot for teammate.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, you have a couple of options here. So option one is, I don't think you need to overcomplicate this. If you want to pop it, just drive into it and pop it up. And, they'll waist boost on their own. They'll probably double commit as well. They're both full boosting from where they're at because they both know they need to cover the net. So if you just pop this, they're both going to boost it. Almost definitely. So, there is that. The other option you have is teammate has just gone into the midfield. He has plenty of boost out there. These guys are both playing here. So the other option you do have is if you cut slightly harder to a right turn here, let the ball bounce out, and then pass it here. Because your teammate is out there. So, that is a very viable option since both of these guys want to play the net. So those are pretty much your two options. Either you just pop it in the most simple way possible and then, drive across and look for bumps, or look for that pass in the midfield. Either is a decent play because, they're not overly greatly positioned for either of them. Sprite is going to panic either way. But yeah, obviously, don't try to overcomplicate it because when you do, you make yourself awkward, and then, to be fair, your teammate keeps it in, so it's actually totally fine. But yeah, just be careful with that. Okay, this is a bit lucky. Again, we're looking at moments where our teammate forces the ball out of the possession of our opponents, and we need to be ready to capitalize on that situation. So right here, I would be careful about how far across the field you go because my teammate is still posturing as if he's going to, stay involved in this play. So rather than cutting across, I'm probably going to go this way at an angle and just hang out more back here, waiting to see what happens. It also gives me more space to react to that guy coming to bump me. So I'm just going to, wait out here, dodge the bump. But the main reason I want to be over in a spot like this is because I want an angle that allows me to turn when this flick is forced. The problem you get yourself in is you are dead in line with the ball. So when this flick happens, you have zero chance to turn on this. But if you were over here, now you can go. Yeah, you still got to worry about this guy, obviously. But you can challenge this. This ball is, again, attackable and honestly, possibly, depending on, where the angle you come in at, it's also shootable. Because that net is wide open. But instead, again, you're in a spot where you can't challenge the ball, which means you're now forced to just let them come towards your net. And by the time you're finally able to turn and challenge, this dude is back on the ball, back in a spot that he can actually jump and play it. When you have a teammate challenging and forcing a flick like we did there, we 100% want to have ourselves positioned in a spot where we can immediately challenge off of that force. Because otherwise, our teammates' efforts are completely useless. Okay, be careful of this. This doesn't look like much, right? There's really not a ton here. But the problem shows up right there. That's the result of the slightly poor positioning and poor decision making. So we're back here. We got 62 boost. That's all well and good. teammate has a free ball. So if you're playing for a 50, be behind your teammate slightly, like back here. Couple of reasons. One, if you're up here, let's say your teammate does want to go for a pass and you're up here. Not saying that he does in this situation, but maybe he does. If your teammate wants to go for a pass, we don't want to be ahead of him like this, because like obviously when we receive a pass in the midfield, we want to be able to just run onto it with momentum, because that's how we maintain power on the ball. But if we're ahead of him and he wants to put the ball in front of us, he has to put it closer to the opponents, which, you know, gives them an advantage in terms of cutting off the pass. Additionally to that, if we're playing 50-50 and we're ahead of him and he loses the 50-50, there's nobody behind him to play off of a loss, which is dangerous because we would have to circle back and, you know, we'd be very awkward and have to get back in position, which is just unnecessary. If we're slightly behind him and he wants to pass the ball, he can just send it directly sideways and we can move on to that with momentum. If he loses a 50, we have that covered too, because, you know, we're slightly behind him. So, and we can see the result of this right here. So imagine if we're slightly behind him instead. So let's just move up basically the exact same way you do, except we're slightly behind him instead of ahead of him. And then watch what happens here. Oh, hey. Well, this is convenient. The ball is just coming directly to us and we're already facing forward. The problem is you're up here. So when the ball goes backwards slightly, you have to reset yourself to get back behind the ball. But in all this time, Casey is just like, oh, cool, I'll just move forward then. And now you have no time to work with. Instead, if you were behind the ball, it's possible you could just shoot this, you could pop it over him, you could take control, you could do a whole bunch of stuff from here. You'd have basically your entire offensive arsenal open to you. But instead, you're recovering back from being too far upfield. So be very careful of moving upfield too far. Generally try to stay about a car length or two behind your teammate. To enable, you know, playing off of 50s wherever they may go, instead of like just relying on the ball going forward instead of backwards. Oh boy.
Ignore this. Ignore that.
So I think the big thing is, like, obviously, you know, none of this is intentional. It's not like you're over here trying to mess up wave dashes and like things like that. I think a big thing is knowing when it's actually necessary to use them, though, because, like, there's every chance, even like myself, I'll go for a wave dash, sometimes I just mistime it, and now I'm slow. So we really only want to use them when there's actually a point, because if there's not a point, and we mess it up, like, now we're just slow for no reason. So, like, right here, you really don't need one. Your teammate's gonna win this ball. Like, he's first to this. You don't really need to rush back to net. You don't need to rush anywhere. So we don't really need to, like, do this whole jump off the wall wave dash thing. It's great that that's your thought process, but it's not necessary. We can just drive. And that would prevent, you know, obviously this, which in hindsight isn't a problem. But imagine for a second if this dude isn't over here and is instead kind of just hanging out in the midfield. This dude pinches the ball around the backboard, and now you're flopping around over here, and this dude just walks in and scores the open net. Like, that's the danger of that. Like, it seems very unlikely, but, like, if this had been a goal for them and you were just flopping around over here, like, that certainly would look a lot worse than it does here. Right now, it's funny, but if we get scored on because it's like, oh, no, that's dumb.
It's just casual. We chill.
and then same thing here. Like, we don't need to jump. We don't need to boost. We don't need to use any resources at all. We can just drive. There's no reason for us to go fast. We can just hang out. But instead, we try to go fast, and it causes us to be a bit awkward.
That one I did actually mean the backflip, though. I was like, ooh, I'm going a little fast here.
Okay, yeah, so try to just make that realization earlier, right? Like, if there's no reason to jump, just don't even do it, because there's really no point, because you're essentially taking yourself out of the play for an extended period of time here. Not that there's any play for you to really be involved in right now, but, like, we'd like to be on our wheels if possible. And then same thing here, just don't get too close, right? Like, there's if he scores this, he scores this. If Casey makes a save, it's gonna roll out onto the left side of the field somewhere. But we don't know where, so we don't really need to creep up the field, because it's not like there's going to be a juicy rebound, more than likely. Like, he's probably going to clear it if he does, but even if he doesn't, like, we have a lead. So it's not like we need to press for another goal here, so, like, I would just hang out and, again, give yourself a little bit more space, because then when this happens, if you're still back here, this is a lot easier. This is chill. You can drive up the wall and play this, maybe even take a shot, you know, do something or other, but instead, again, you're caught backwards, because you were too close. So now you can't do anything, which this is just advantage them for no reason. Oh, yeah, and then they basically own goal. And that's going to be a forfeit from them, which is kind of, honestly, I would say surprising with a minute and 55 left, but honestly, with the sequence that just caused them to be scored on, I honestly can't blame them. As you guys can see, there are a lot of little things that you can do to put yourself and your team in more successful situations. So make sure you guys do take extra care in every situation you find yourself in to ensure that you're giving yourself the best chance possible to win your games. Of course, thank you everybody so much for watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who made it to this point in the video, and I do hope you did enjoy it and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, once again, if you're interested in some one-on-one coaching of your own, or perhaps you just like to be a bit more involved in the community we're building here, do feel free to check out my Discord, which is again linked down in the description. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.